All right. Good morning, everyone. So today we have Sara Corckran from Corckran, what is it, counseling? Or sorry,
Corckran Coaching.
there we go. I was like, I should have looked at the name before I pushed record. Okay. And so she's just going to present to us today on the services that she provides. So go ahead, Sara.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. My name is Sara Corckran. It's nice to meet you. I live in Annapolis, Maryland, but my heart is in the Teton Valley for sure. It's my favorite place to be. And we just got snow here, so it's kind of a big deal. And I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about something that I'm super passionate about. And I'll tell you a little bit about why. And clearly you are too, because this is your job. So I appreciate you guys giving me the time. And let me pull my screen up. I need to move this. Let me go here. Okay, so I'm Sara Corckran, and I'm a positive psychology and mindset coach, and I'm in Annapolis, Maryland. And I'm really passionate about helping people face their adversity with grace and optimism. The reason why this is so important to me, 25 years ago, I was a classroom teacher teaching college students how to become teachers at a local college here. And when I was in my early 30s, my husband had he had non-Hodgkin's disease, which turned into a bone marrow transplant, and he recovered. And I gave birth to my first daughter at the same time he was getting chemo in the same hospital. So that was a very trying time, and I had no skills and resources to deal with that. Maybe 10 years later, my sister-in-law had a glioblastoma, and she battled that for 7 years and died, again, having no tools. I then fortuitously left my college career, teaching college career, and I became a positive psychology practitioner and started studying mindfulness personally. And I became a life coach. And I'm really glad I did, because when I turned 48, I got breast cancer. So what makes my experience so unique is that I see both sides of the coin, many sides of the coin. I see it as a care provider and the wife, and I also see it as the patient. But I also see what it's like to go through cancer with no tools and how dark and hard and challenging it can be. And then I also had my own unique experience, which was none of those things. It had challenges and there were moments of darkness, but it is a time in my life that I look back on with love, and it was a time of light for me. So I'd like to share that with other people so that they understand. And I'll show you, because as it happens with many people, once I had cancer, it really changed my outlook on life, and it changed my purpose. And I changed from going to coaching and teaching positive psychology to schools and school communities to now really focusing on individuals and helping them through their adversity. And I wanted to find multiple ways in order to share the tools that I have. And so I devote my time right now to one-on-one coaching, and then the Heron's Perspective, which is a micro learning newsletter that I'll share a little bit about today with you, that I'm very passionate about. I love it because it's free and it's 12 weeks long. I'll go through each of the weeks so you understand. And then I am also doing group coaching, which looks like 6 sessions that are an hour and a half long at a time on Zoom, which is great for you guys because you're spread apart. And the way that I've been doing it in the past is that each participant pays $100 per person, but that there's a guarantee of $1,500 from whoever's helping to host it to happen, to make sure that I get them enough money to make it worth my time. And then the last thing is this book that I'm in the process of creating, which is called Pillars of Adversity. And it's a teaching memoir that shares the similar tools. So these are the topics that helped me the most, and that I wrote the newsletter based on, as well as the book. So there's a lot of detail behind them. One thing I would like to say about the book and the newsletter is that when we were teaching positive psychology, is that we really worked hard, because we were teachers ourselves, on making sure that things came in like what we called nuggets of wisdom, which are bite-sized, science-based, actionable tools. And that's what the newsletter is all about. It has a little bit of writing, but then it tells you specifically things that we want you to do to help you grow more of whatever it is that we're referring to. And then there's coaching questions in there. There's little videos, but everything's super short. You could read this in the grocery store line and carpool line if you had 10 minutes in the morning with your cup of coffee, but it would really set your week up or your day up to focus on more of it. So hope, and then love. Then the next one is focus on other people, and that's changing your perspective. Amor fati is a Stoicism word, which means I love my fate. And I read a newsletter on that. Gratitude, the fact that other people matter in our healing and in our growth and in our lives. Positive psychology is based on the idea that other people matter, and when we feel connected, we feel better. Mindset, obviously a big shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. The impact of thoughts and our presence. Oops, spelled wrong. Writing your own story and how important that is, that although we pick up stories from other people all the time in movies and in social media and from people that we know, that we do have the opportunity to write our own story, and really empowering people to do that. The next newsletter is on impermanence. And I wrote this newsletter based on pain, but it applies to so many things in our lives, but that it is just here in this moment, and that no two moments are the same. And I do a little bit of teaching about how to handle pain and find moments without pain in there. Acceptance and the importance of acceptance, and then omniscient is the last one. And okay, so let me stop sharing for a quick second. Does anybody have any questions about this so far? Good to go? Okay. All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit, give you an understanding of what my teaching has looked like in the past. My coaching is not necessarily like this, but if I were to do a Zoom call or group coaching, it's more like this. So here's a little bit of the science. We have something that's called the happiness set point. It's in all of us. And so people that are just, they were born, they're a little bit more like Eeyore, like, oh, ho hum, and it's just kind of how they are. That's their genetics. There's other people that and they're born like Tigger, like, all right, what are we going to get out of today? I'm going to squeeze the last bit of juice out of the lemon. And that's their genetics. It's just how you're born. Interesting is that our happiness is only 10% from our circumstance. So whether it's COVID or in some cases, even adversity like cancer or some of the hard times we have in life, that's really only changing our happiness by 10%, which leaves 40% in what we think and what we do and our actions. And that's where the work that I do comes into play. Knowing that we can change someone's experience by up to 40% is significant, and it keeps me going to keep doing my job. So one of the topics that we talked about that is in the newsletter is gratitude. And it was a big piece for me in my own experience. And when you really harness the power of gratitude, it can increase your happiness by up to 30%. And you've probably read this, and you've been to Hallmark store and even Sam's Club and Big Lots, and everybody has a gratitude journal. But the reason that they're out there is because it really does make a difference. And what I'm hoping to inspire people to do is not just acts of gratitude, but actually have a attitude of gratitude. They say it's going from a state of it where it's a momentary thing to a trait of gratitude. And when you practice it, bathe in it really every day, it will help all the things like your stronger immune system, you'll sleep better, higher levels of positive emotion, higher life satisfaction, vitality, and optimism, lower levels of stress, depression, and materialism. But what I found is that when I was in a place of gratitude, I had higher energy, which I was able to continue to work and live a full life while I was in treatment. But I also was more in a place of healing. So although I don't have the science on it, I'm a firm believer that when you're in that better place of stronger and lighter energy, you're more likely to have a better prognosis. So I would love for you guys to do this. right now while we're on the call. Just get that feeling of gratitude. But before you do it, I would like for you to take a second and kind of tap in on your level of happiness, and on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself just without doing anything? And you could, it's up to you. Just think of your number. And then I'd like for you to get out your phones and open them up into your photos section. If you have an iPhone, you might be familiar with the For You that's down at the bottom of the page, but any photo would do. So just get somewhere into your phones or a video and choose one that you love. And then take a second to send it to someone who was part of that experience. That when you see the photo and you remember loving it, it brings your entire body back to that experience physiologically. You're feeling that moment again, harnessing that gratitude. And then maybe share it with someone with a little note and notice how that feels. After you've done it, put a little note in the chat box telling me how that went for you. This is just one way to harness gratitude. My list is very long, but I always try to find one way to open up each call. Makes your heart happy, makes you smile. Love this idea. I'm going to try to do it daily. Made me laugh and remember the great memory. And now I love reading these. It's making me smile for sharing it with you. But likely these people are going to text you back. So it's also fostering a connection, bringing you back to the idea that other people matter. And the more connected we are in our lives, really, the happier we are. And when people are facing their adversity and in their challenge, there's nothing better than finding a way to see the good in the situation or see a good in your life that's already existing. So I think I have another slide. Let's see. Okay, it's just the last one. These are the best ways to contact me right now. So the first one's my email, and then a website. And at the bottom is a way to go directly to the Heron's Perspective newsletter. I can show you what that looks like so you can see a bit of that if that's helpful, but I'll take questions and see if I can answer anything or if you even need that.
Sure. I think we'd love to see the newsletter too.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'd like to read what. Okay.
It's very fun.
It's so fun. I wanted to do this thing called gratitude ping pong, but we need breakout rooms for it. But that is a huge boost of positive emotion. Okay, take it.
Mine started to play music when I was in that For You part. It was
I
showing
know.
these videos and it had like this sappy music. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's too early to get all sad.
Totally. I love that For You page though. I mean, it's constantly, we spend a lot of time in Driggs, Idaho. We're like Alta, Wyoming you're all Wyoming people, but it pulls all my Wyoming photos together through the years, through 25 years. And that's so fun. Okay, let me see what I've got here. Okay, so this is one that I did on presents. So it's called the Heron's Perspective because the heron is such an unusual bird. I live on the Chesapeake Bay, and the heron has this enormous body cavity and these little tiny bamboo straw-like legs. And you would think that there was no way that a heron could hold itself up with those little legs. It's just a reminder that the only thing you really need is your own 2 feet. And with that, you can do anything. So that's why it's called that. So here's a little bit about the heron regarding presence. And then I always have a quote. This one is a favorite of mine by Hamagani about your thoughts and your actions. And then here would be like the chunk of the information that I want someone to know. It talks about the research and how it affects us and the importance of being present, but I don't stay in there long. Oh gosh, this is good. I forgot about this one. And this is the lesson from the Cherokee. If you're not familiar with the story of the two wolves, I'll scroll slowly so that you can read it, or I could read it out loud to you. One evening, an elderly Cherokee brave told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside all of us. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, regret, greed, self-pity, guilt, resentment, worry, pride, and ego. The other is good. It's joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, and compassion." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one that you feed." And that's what we're talking about, the power of your thoughts and feeding your thoughts. So then it goes right into these action items that I want people to do about noticing your thoughts, coming up with a statement to pull you back into presence, a quick breath work with a video that is helpful, the importance of getting outside. Obviously in Wyoming, people are going to want to do that, but how it happens to you. And then the power behind music. It's just a reminder that when we really can get into music for a moment, it will change your energy and your thoughts, but it'll help you to become more present. And then down here are questions that are related directly to the things above. So noticing your thoughts, giving people some questions to ponder about it. What's your statement? Breathe, get outside, and turn it up. And I give them a song that they might enjoy, that I enjoy, about resilience and being happier. So I think that's what I have. Can I answer any questions for you guys?
Sara, so to get the 12-week newsletter, is that something like when you sign up for the group class, those people get it, or how does that, since it's a 12
Okay,
week?
so that's a great question. The newsletter is free, so anyone can sign up for it right now. But what I have designed the group coaching is, I would take 2 weeks because there's 12, and I think that's too long for us to spread out for group coaching. I thought 6 weeks is more appropriate, keeps people active and engaged in it, but 2 topics per week. So I think what I'd like to do is send that group that signed up for group coaching the 2 newsletters, and then we would meet each week. Does that make sense? Great.
Thank
Good
you.
question. I thought with this big group, if each group, it might work, you might have like a couple of people from each area, and you could get together, get a group together to do group coaching if that's of interest.
Thank you so much for sharing. Any other questions? Okay.